Welcome back, everybody, to my Big Brother Feeds recap. This time I'm really recapping the whole weekend. I wanted to do one of these last night, just didn't have the time. So here goes this. This season continues to be a mess that never stops, really. Just constantly a mess. That should be the tagline for the season, honestly. Big Brother Canada 9, the mess that never stops. We'll go ahead and talk about the veto. So Kiefer nominated Rohan and Kyle together, but Rohan ended up winning the veto, so Rohan is safe this week. Kyle is Kiefer's target. Kiefer wants to put up Austin as Rohan's replacement. This is coming after he did make this whole deal with Austin. She threw the comp for him to win. Probably regretting that now. Actually, she's probably not, because I'm not convinced her head is still even in the game at this point. Kiefer's HOH so far has been way better than I expected. I'm going to have to give Kiefer some credit. He is doing better than I would have anticipated. I think the thing I've been most wrong about was I thought Tina was smart and Kiefer was dumb in the game, but it's the opposite. Kiefer is smart and Tina's dumb in the game. And yes, any chance I get to call Tina dumb, I'm taking it. Kiefer has done very well at centering himself. He's playing the middle between the whole thruple on one side of Jet, Sean, and Beth, and then Victoria, Tara, and Tina on the other side. So he has done a good job of kind of surrounding himself in the middle of these two, not quite alliances, but I guess so. And it does create a bit of a shield around him for now. For now. It's funny though, because I feel like of all people, the one person who was onto Kiefer's game of that he's basically still lying to people. He's still telling people disinformation. He's telling people different information. And the one person onto him of all people is someone that has consistent worst reads on the house, and that is Beth. Beth is onto Kiefer because something got back to her that she told Kiefer. So, the thing is, Beth doesn't have any power right now, but she did tell Austin that Kiefer plans on putting Austin on the block, even though he's been giving Austin the runaround. So Beth has undermined Kiefer a little bit already. I just think it's funny that she's the one onto him, and this is why I still worry about her game. I keep telling people that Kiefer does too much. He tells too many lies. He just overall, it's going to get him in trouble. If the person with the worst read of the house is already kind of onto what he's doing, then it's only a matter of time that, people talk in this game, especially everybody's talking. There could be a point where Kiefer is exposed a little much for this game that he is playing. He needs to just sit back these next couple of weeks if he can. I'm just not convinced he can do that because that has been his game so far. Onto this fan base of Big Brother overall. Not just Big Brother Canada, it's the game of Big Brother in general. And just how illogical the fan base can be. Honestly, there's two fan bases that if they disagree with me, if the majority of a fan base on social media disagrees with me, then I know I'm right because there's two fan bases that are just so illogical. One is pro wrestling and the other is Big Brother. Now, if you want the why the fan base is so logical, if you're ready for a real conversation, you need to go to Recency Bias Radio's YouTube and listen to his latest rant over the weekend on Big Brother. He will definitely break down why the fan base is actually illogical. If you're ready for that conversation as a Big Brother fan, the fan base just lies to us all, though. But I'm going to talk about the how. So last week, Victoria does her bold move. She's going after Latoya, even though it's emotional. I feel like most of the fan base is like, yes, so bold, a bold move, yes, queen. And yet, doing this move, she ended up on the bottom of everything. She has no real allies. And, everybody could be like, look at her, she's dodging the block this week, she's doing so well this week. That was never the point. The point is, I'll get to Victoria later. You'll have to stick around for more of my recap of Victoria. But right now, my point is that last week, everybody was praising Victoria. So, yes, to summarize Victoria's HOH, she made this bold move, but it was emotional, and it really didn't really help her game any because she just sank to the bottom, and now her long game is one of the hardest in the game. But most people in the fan base were giving her so much credit. I mean, on one hand, I feel sorry for the fan base because they like have PTSD from all these boring ass US seasons. But on the other hand, something could be a big move, but also bad for that person's game, especially someone that had HOH-itis like Victoria. But now this week, we have Kiefer making a move that makes sense to him because even though Ty and Jed and Beth voted for him, they know, or he knows that they're still pretty loyal to him. They were just loyal to Latoya. But the fan base is like, Kiefer's so dumb for putting up Kyle and Rohan. But Kiefer has managed to be the first person this season to use his HOH to actually build alliances, build trust with most of the house, not all of it, but build trust with most of the house. And people just shit on this HOH because he's making an actual logical move to put up two of the biggest targets and two targets that, harassed him last week. But he's also surrounding himself by two different trios, basically. So something Victoria did not do. So I just find it, very logical for most of the fan base to be like, Victoria's doing great. She's a queen. She's bold. She's making a big move, even though it's going to sink her game. But now this week, Kiefer is actually being more strategic than Victoria, and people can't handle it. Illogical indeed. Now, speaking of Victoria's game, she has done a good job of just continuing to lie to everybody. That is a game she has created for herself. And like I said, people are like, she's doing a good job avoiding the block this week. Well, yeah, that's because Kiefer trusts her. But her long game is still the hardest. She set this pace for herself on week 3. That was my main point on my live feeds. It was week 3, and now she has to play the rest of the game at the same crazy pace. And not only does she have to do that, she then has to, if she gets to the end, if she's able to keep this pace and gets to the end, she still has to not have a bitter jury. She has to sell her game so well that there's not a bitter jury. So Victoria still has the hardest long game in the game, other than maybe Tara, like I said on the podcast. And Tashawn is on to Victoria's games. He's telling people that they need to just stroke Victoria's ego, but not trust her. And he's right. But Tashawn is hoping Jed will take that shot at Victoria. He doesn't want to take that shot at Victoria. We had Austin at 2 in our rankings, and I think we were very wrong. Austin is in trouble, and she's not playing well. If there was one ranking in our rankings wrong, it was Austin for sure. I think it's just because, that one team has been safe for 3 rounds now because they were the teams and they were winning HOHs. And then last week, Victoria was HOH. So Kyle and Austin are just now actually having to play the real game. And Austin is not prepared. She's been dragged well with Braden's social game. But today, she tried to fake cry to Jen and Tashawn. However, last night, she told people during like dinner that she could cry on cue. So she says this last night, And today tries to cry to them. And so like they don't buy it, obviously. So right now, Austin is looking like next week's target, unless her or Braden or Rohan win HOH. Lastly, there is a new possible duo. Kind of not really, but Tashawn and Kiefer have been talking a lot today, and when Tashawn is away from Beth and Jed, he is smart as hell. His head is in the game. He has some of the best reads, and his talks with Kiefer are really. These two could be very dangerous together if they were the duo. Fortunately, he's duoing with. Well, he has this throuple shit. He needs to just keep getting away from Beth. He's been trying to distance himself, it seems like, but yeah, these two talking could be dangerous for everybody else if these two become a real duo with all these freaking duos going on. But that is all I have today. Some interesting notes and takes. Don't know when I'll be able to do this again, but thank you for joining me.